Everybody doing?
Good.
How was that rainstorm today? That was pretty fun. So the drain at my office in the parking lot is plugged up. Anytime it like sprinkles, it starts to fill up and the whole parking lot fills up. And the way the parking lot is designed is it kind of makes a V and you drive through it and then you park at the top. So the water was so high, it was probably 12 inches where the sewer drain was, that when trucks were driving through, it was making these big waves that were going up over the little landing in front of our office and then into our office. That's how much water we had. It was pretty fun. But I'm just thankful that I don't have to water the lawn again. My new seat that they put down about a month ago was struggling. So, first time guests. Let me, I'll have Justin pass the mic around for first time guests. Just stand up, name, where you're from, what you specialize in. Good.
Larman Cummings, I'm a licensed realtor for Illinois, flip houses. I have 2 rentals, and I wholesale. I'm looking to expand into Indiana, so seeing the meetup, I want to start introducing myself to people. Let's go.
Perfect. There are a few buyers in here. Who else is a first time guest? How did you hear about the group? Facebook.
Hi, I'm Phil Ticker. I'm a licensed realtor in Indiana, and I've been wanting to get into investing in real estate, and I'm friends with, I've known Henry and Derek Rowe for a long time, and they told me to come in, so.
And you listen to them?
No. That's why I'm here.
There you go.
My name is Nathan Walker. I'm from Valpo. I own a company called Grid Elements. We're a energy conservation company, so we help homeowners and small businesses be more energy efficient, and also flip houses as well. So I met these guys because we got a lot of mutual friends and we've done some deals together.
Anyone else first time here? Nope. Sorry.
Hi,
Up is on.
hi, I'm John.
It's on. It's on. Yeah, just talk to it.
Sorry. I'm John Kazura. I'm from Hobart, and I'm just getting started in this and looking for like a duplex or something in Cherville, and I'm rent out my house that I currently own. Looking for that. Sorry.
These are my guests. They just are looking to possibly flip a house and come to their
Hello.
Hi, stranger.
Hi.
Thanks for coming finally.
Yeah, glad I finally made it. My name's Karen Miller. I'm the owner and operator of a property management company named Property Boss. We're also a licensed residential general contractor, realtor, and pretty much a one-stop shop for our investors. A couple of them here this evening, so I came to support my guys and see if I can meet any new people.
I'm Craig Kennedy with Solutions and Services. I'm a wholesaler. Wholesale in Gary, Maryville, and Crown Point. Also in Chicago. So I'm from also from Chicago, but I live in Indiana.
Hi, I'm Asherina, and this is Michael. We just moved from Chicago to buy 2 properties here. We're gonna fix them up and rent them out pretty soon.
Are you living in one and renting the other, or like house hacking?
Yes, we're each purchased them separately, living in them, and then we'll go them out.
Anyone else first time guest? And you can just shout out, how did you guys hear about the group? Bigger Pockets, Bigger Pockets. Someone invited you, said yes. How did you hear about the group? Correct?
You.
Me? I do talk about it occasionally. Karen heard about it from someone she knows. Cool. Well, thanks again for coming.
Adrian, yeah, one more.
One more.
Kevin McCann. I'm a buy and hold investor in Illinois.
think you'll like what you find over here. Alrighty, well thanks for coming. Good news, who did something this past month? And I'll have Justin pass the mic around. If you did something, sold a house, bought a house, flipped something, got money, gave money, stand up, give the 30-second overview on what you did, and then also one key point that you learned from it. Nobody? Craig did something. I know.
Actually found a real good deal. It was a 2-unit brick building that was already done. Everything was done, top of mechanics, everything electrical was done. And actually, I'll tell you how valuable these meetings are. Actually, I found the seller I found from some of my advertising, but the actual buyer came from a meeting. I actually acquired the property maybe on a Monday or Tuesday. I had a buyer in mind, the back-end buyer in mind. I met him at the meeting. The property was sold within 6 days. So we closed within, agent was thinking like 10 days, maybe.
From when you put it under contract?
From the beginning.
Yeah, it was pretty fast.
Real fast. So that was phenomenal. The spread on it was phenomenal. I had some motivated sellers that really needed to get out of it. And they already had a little money, but they just didn't want to deal with it. They had it redone. They didn't want to put tenants in there. So they just wanted to get rid of it. So it worked out really, really well.
Cool.
July, right now, so far closed 7 transactions, 2 wholesales, I'm wrapping up a rehab, and that's July.
7 transactions, 2 wholesales, and some other stuff?
Finishing up a rehab.
There you go. A lot of people are like, man, I just need to get 1. This guy did like 7 this month.
I bought a property over in Munster. I'm very excited about it. It's been on the market for a very long time. I got a good deal on it, and I'm dealing with mold remediation right now. A lot of,
Just bleach.
well, a little bit more than that, but yeah, 2 30-yard dumpsters.
That sounds expensive. Anyone else do a deal this month? Sold a flip, bought a rental?
We are closing on a flip in Highland, Signal. And yeah, I did it with my brother. And I think we closed with Tuesday. So, yeah. I guess what I learned was add a budget.
That does add value.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you guys set a record?
I think so. For Wicker Park Estates, it was what did we sell, 134, I think? That's on the high side.
How much did you make?
We bought it for 73, and put,
Like,
we bought the house for 73 on auction, and I think we put about 30 all in. Sold it for 135. And what's funny is we didn't have pictures of it. It was sold. We had people stopping by. I think we had a full price offer in 2 hours, and we had a signed purchase agreement in 6 hours. So it was good.
Derek
didn't
paid
ask
off-
enough.
Derek paid off his private lender this month too. They weren't
That's great.
happy to get paid off though.
No,
No.
all rented. I'll have to find another one.
Anyone else do anything? Awesome. All right, so Invest NWI is a premier investment group in Northwest Indiana, and the mission of the group is to bring together investors of all levels to provide an environment for relevant real estate investment education, as well as a place to grow your personal network. You may have picked up from some of the people speaking that they found buyers, they found lenders, they found a lot of opportunity just through the people in the group. Yeah, the speakers we bring in are great, you learn a lot from that, but a lot of the value is in the group is really twofold. The interactions that happen after the meeting, we'll be pretty much wrapped up by 8:30. They don't kick us out till 10. So I know some of you are going to pack up and leave right away. You're missing out on a ton of networking relationships that can be formed. And also on our Facebook page. There's a lot of interaction on that where you can meet people, learn a lot too. So we'll talk more about that in a second. Benefits of our group, again, networking with experienced investors, education through the monthly speakers. It's a good place to get connected. We have lawyers, contractors, accountants, landlords, good time standing out property managers, people that have done a bunch of stuff, people that have made mistakes and you can learn from their mistakes. So just a good place to get deals done. We're still working on vendor discounts. We're going to roll that out this month. So those are the benefits of being part of the group. Real quick disclaimer, the material and content presented today is for educational purposes only. We're not giving any legal advice. The content is a recollection of the speaker's personal experiences, their successes and or failures. You should definitely consult with your own professionals prior to engaging in any activities presented here. The success of the speaker is not a guarantee that you will be successful. I say this all the time. We always have people up here, they talk about their success and all that. Keep in mind, for them to get to where they got to, they've also failed a bunch of times. It's just not fun talking about that all the time. A couple of useful tips and tools. The Facebook group, if you're not part of that, open up your phone, go to your Facebook app, and go to Invest NWI Investor Group. Ask to get approved for the group. That's where we post information about our upcoming speakers, special events. If you're looking for money or you have money, you can post stuff there. We don't allow house posts anymore just because we had too many people posting, 4, 5, 6 houses a day. There's lots of other Facebook groups where you can post your houses. We have a lot of people that are asking real estate questions. Hey, I had this issue with a tenant. What do I do? Hey, I need this contact. Who do you know who does foundation or mold remediation or whatever? So great place to post questions that you have about any properties that you're dealing with. We've been talking about this a long time. We are finally 99% ready to roll it out, the website. Let me go ahead and share this video with you. And I did a video of the website because the internet here isn't very good. So I'll kind of walk you through it as we're going. So this is the main page. And I'm just going to scroll through the main page so you can kind of see it. It's investnwigroup.com. So it talks about the member benefits there. Obviously, if you're here, you already understand a lot of what we do. Upcoming events at the bottom. If you like the group, we're going to contact you and you can give us a testimonial. That would be helpful. We'll do some written ones and we'll also get some video ones. So at the top, that was an agent asking me if my house I had listed was for finance buyers. You can click on Become a Member. This is for people who aren't members or if you need to renew it, so you can click on that. This down here, the calendar, will show you the upcoming events. If you're not a member and you don't want to stand in line to pay, you can click Buy Now, and you can pay online and then print out your receipt and just bring that. Let me go ahead and pause this for a second here. It's going way too fast. Okay, so this is the member section coming up here after the calendar. The member section is for folks who are annual members. The person designing the website will get you login information this week. The member section, let me go ahead and pause this real quick. It really has 3 sections that are going to be beneficial to you. The first section is the member list. I always have people, hey, I was talking with so-and-so at the meeting. I lost their card. I can't find them. What's their email address? How do I contact them? So we'll have all the information in there for members, and only members can access that. If you are a member and you don't want someone to have your phone number or your email, let me know, and I won't have that listed there. The service provider list is where we're going to have all of our vendor information. That'll be property managers. I have a lender in there, a couple of other folks that will be in there. And then meeting archives. And this is where we record all the meetings. And for you folks who want a previous video, you send me an email, hey, I want the meeting from 4 months ago. And then I'm like, well, what was the topic? So and then I have to go into my YouTube page, copy the link, email it back to you. I'm super busy. You probably get annoyed. It might take 3 or 4 days to get to you. So under the that section there we have all of the past recordings. So you don't have to email me requesting any of the past videos. You can just go on there and watch them all. So let me go ahead and that's the member list with the contact info. We're getting that added in now. And then this is, I think I bring up past, so it has all the months there. Has the video, and then under download resources, this is going to be the PowerPoint for that meeting. So that is live now. If you are a member, you'll be getting contacted this week with your username and password. Your username is probably just going to be your email address that you gave us. Again, this is just a contact page. So let me get out of that. So that's what we have going now. Took a long time. It came out really well. So I'm glad that is up and going. All right, so let's talk about the main event. And the panel that we're doing here is a little bit different than what we've done in the past. And the reason why I do it is I get a lot of people that call me and ask about speakers or topics that they want to talk about. And a lot of times they're asking really good questions. Unfortunately, those questions aren't really broad enough where we can do an hour-long presentation, have someone that I would consider an expert come in and talk about something. It's really a question that can be answered in 3 to 5 minutes. But it's a good enough question where everybody can learn from it. So what I wanted to do today, and I've been to a couple of different meetups. I go to the one in Maryville, I go to one in Illinois, and if I have time, there's a couple more in Illinois, I'll pop in here and there. And I've seen this done different ways, and a lot of times they'll do Q&A on one particular topic for a whole hour. Well, after 30 minutes, it's really hard to stay on topic. You start to get questions that are going into different topics. So what we're going to do tonight is we have 4 topics. Each topic is going to get 20 minutes. So when we're talking about rehabbing, if you have a question about private money, please don't ask that question during the rehabbing section. So we'll do 20 minutes for each topic, and then at the end, if your question doesn't fit into the other 4 topics, or you forgot to ask it, that's your opportunity to ask any question that you want. So let me introduce our panel here, and after I introduce them, I'll kill the projector so you guys aren't blinded. We'll grab a chair and get started. And it's just, I hope you guys brought your question, because really we're relying on you tonight to ask questions. So our first panel member is Justin. Justin started investing in 2014, buying tax lien properties, or buying the tax lien and then redeeming it. He did over 200 of those. He joined Region Home Buyers in October of 2016, has wholesaled over 200 properties. He's a private lender, and he also owns 13 rental doors. He has done a few flips as well. We try to keep him away from those and just stick to the wholesaling. All right, Nathan Walker is with Grid Elements, married with 2 girls. He's been a business owner since 2005. He's built several multi-million-dollar businesses, and they're all based around home improvements. He purchased his first flip in 2015. He paid $39 for it, put $30 into it, sold it for $119. So a pretty successful first flip. He's currently working on 4 flips. He's on pace to do 50 this year. He has a full-time crew that works just for him on all of his flips, which is a huge thing to have. Henry Grove started in property preservation in 2001. He did his first flip in 2002. 2005, he started a remodeling company. On average, he does about 8 to 10 flips a year for other investors, in addition to the 2 or 3 that he does a year for himself. And he currently owns 18 single-family rentals. And then Julie is with Midwest Redevelopment. She started in 2008 with, is it Nouveau Rich?
Nouveau
Rich, okay. Educational company. They have a lot of great material. Her first deal was bird dogging for a $400,000 multifamily building in Chicago. She also did her first flip in 2008. Since then, she's completing number 35 and number 36 currently. And then she also has 2 rental properties. So I'm going to go ahead and kill the screen. And I apologize, y'all sent in these really nice bios, and I had to condense it into bullet points, so I apologize for that. We never get I wrote yours out.
I know, it was wrong, but I guess I should have sent it in.
What was wrong about it? Oh, what did I say? It's a couple of years. Do we have our things that cover up our wires?
No.
You want to tell that story while I'm getting set up here?
Yeah.
We bought something to cover the wires, and FedEx was supposed to deliver today, but apparently the gigantic sign that said, "Please deliver to the chiropractor next door," wasn't working, so we took it back with them, so.
You know how they put the sticker on your door that they missed you? He literally put the sticker right on your sign that said, "Drop it off next door." All right, so I'm going to set my timer so we can stay on the 20-minute schedule here. So if you have a question, we're going to start with rehabbing. If you have a question, stand up. I'll give you the mic. We'll use the mic so everybody can hear it, so the video can pick it up. Anybody on the panel is free to answer. So we won't have any particular person talk the entire time, because no one would want to hear one person talk the whole time. But let's start with rehabbing questions. Who has a rehabbing question?
How does any of you guys, how do you pick the area, other than outside? How do you pick your area that you want?
Well, the way I pick it, it's very imperative that it's within 15 minutes of my own personal home, because I am literally driving in circles. And that's how I pick my time.
I try to take personal opinion and emotion out of it completely and just lean on my realtors, and that's proven to be pretty good for me. The places that I've done the best in are places if I would have just thought on my own, I probably wouldn't have gone, to be honest. And so I partnered with a good group of realtors that I know have my best interests in place, and I kind of trust them on where a market might be good or not good.
I would say personally, I stay out of places I don't know. So I don't know certain markets. I don't know Maryville. I don't know Gary. I don't know. So the only times I've really been burned is when, well, years ago I called a listing realtor. To them, it's the greatest house. And it makes so much money. And so the only times I've ever been burned is when. So now I stick to certain areas that I know are tried and true for me.
So we don't rehab a whole lot, obviously we wholesale, but we do see the buyers and what they're making. And the ones that are successful are probably, rehabbing houses that are going to end up in the 150 to 250 range when they're done. That's not to say you can't make money other places. I mean, I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars in the hood, and I've made money on a $600,000 house this year. So it just depends on where you want to be. If you're good in one area, then just know your area really well.
Next question. Once the question seems to be done, just stand up. I'll bring you the mic.
I can add something to that last thing too, though. I've noticed that in that $110,000 to $250,000 buyer, they're a much easier buyer to deal with, and so I tend to want to go to those areas to maybe just generalize it even more. Anything over 250 might be a little bit more picky, so I tend to like that area. 120, 130,000 is like a good sweet spot for me.
And on the same note, the other thing about that is that most of those buyers are not contingent. So that's a very key component to what I specialize in. My sweet spot is that first-time home buyer.
When your guys are building a team to flip a house, what's the best method to pay your guys? Are you guys doing them as 1099s? No pay. Or are they going to be employed for your company? How do you guys like to do it for tax reasons?
I only do it as subcontractors. So they're independent, they do their own taxes.
Yeah, same thing with me. Everybody is a 1099, so I mean, I can't require much of them from a legal standpoint, I guess, other than if they don't want to work, they don't have to work anymore. But yeah, I probably wouldn't ever have an employee go do that.
I agree, same thing, I think that's kind of the way of the world right now too, especially with Obamacare. Nobody wanted to hire everybody in 1099, it just seems to make sense, it's just easy to do.
Like contractors on the panel, so, I mean, you gotta be careful with contractors, make sure I see a lot of people paying by the hour. Why are you laughing? No, I mean, I have a really good relationship with Henry, believe it or not. I don't babysit a whole lot of what he does, but I'm not suggesting that with most contractors, but make sure you check their workman's comp. Make sure you check their insurance, because they're all gonna tell you they're licensed, bonded, insured. And a lot of times they're not, they just tell you that. Or they'll get the insurance and then cancel it the next day. So just verify that, and then don't pay by the hour. You pay by the hour, you're gonna pay dearly. Pay by the job.
One of the other ways you can tell, if the license is bonded, is they'll let them pull the permits. So they're pulling the permits, that means they've got to go in with their insurance card, et cetera, et cetera.
That's a tough thing. If you don't have a crew of people, it's always hard to find good people because the good ones are busy doing other things, or too expensive for your job in a lot of cases. For me in my situation, because I own other companies and I have staff that are kind of already doing similar things, I probably have a little bit of an advantage in that area. But one of the things that I did was, if you either need to manage the project and not just the buying of and picking out of the things that fun stuff, you literally need to manage the team. Even if they say they're good, you have to kind of micromanage it to some extent. But what I saw when I wanted to build a business out of it was I needed to have like a good foreman or a good lead guy that could literally just be there for all that, which helps.
Yeah, the only other small thing I would add is when the people you're hiring are not your own, you might want to consider waiver of liens, because then you have 10 companies on one job.
Henry, you hold it up a little more.
Oh, sorry. You might want to consider waiver of liens. It's pretty easy and simple. Some banks require notaries, but you really don't. If you're generaling it, you could just have that and keep it on file. I'm pretty close to my contract. We really don't do that now. Some of the banks I work for do, but yeah, you sure want to go close. Find the lien.
Start making Henry sign those.
Yeah.
Can you explain what a waiver of liens is?
So a waiver of lien is saying that it has to have a total amount on the bottom. You could find it anywhere. You can find it online. You can find an easy form at Office Max, whatever. But basically, it's just a quick form that you fill out, that your contractor fills out. I hired such and such. You fill out company name, and the company fills it out, gives it to you, the general contractor, or you, the homeowner. And it says that I've been paid this amount, and this has paid me in full for the work I've done, to this date on this property. It just says that you can't go back and say I was never paid or some issue like that. Because we're hiring half a dozen contractors on these jobs. If you don't know them, it's just something that could burn you in the long run. Especially if you have a general contractor working, and the general contractor is not communicating with you that somehow a sub's bid changed, but it doesn't make sense to the general, so they're not paying it. So, right? So if I'm a sub, I can put a lien on a property within 60 days of, as long as I have a signed bid, within 60 days of being on that property, doing any work. So it can come up after you've, done some work. It's never happened to me, but it's something that could. If you're dealing with new people.
You had mentioned at some point you decided to take on a foreman. At what point in your business, I would say more so buying, did it make sense to take on a foreman?
That's It's a really weird question because there is a point where if you're only going to do 1 or 2 a year, you can't justify it. And so for me, it was like, I'm either going to do none or I'm going to do 10 or 20 a year. Like that's kind of the way I am because I was looking at it. I don't enjoy construction and I can barely swing a hammer. So like I was looking at it strictly from a business aspect. So realistically, you got to have something going constantly. So if you've got a crew that can flip a house in 90 days or something, then you got to have the funds available to be purchasing something as you're getting close to finishing it, so that when you're closing, there's never a gap. If that makes sense. So the whole idea is that I never wanted to have that period of time where there's nothing going on. So for you specifically, I would look at how much funds you have available and what realistically you can handle, and how really close you are. Well, if you're the realtor, then you know how quickly you can sell the homes. But if you could keep something going nonstop, I would get somebody to help you oversee it. I think that's the best way to answer.
One of the things that I learned when I first started, you need one of 3 things to do real estate investing. You either need time, money, or knowledge. And it's okay that you don't have all 3 of them. And that's the point in which you pair up with somebody that has one of those 3 components. And that's what I learned when I first started out years ago, and there's a lot of relevance to that. So just because you don't have the money, there might be somebody in here who has the money, but they don't have the time or the knowledge. I might have the knowledge, and I might have too many projects, and I don't have the money, but somebody's come to me with a great opportunity. Well, I've got the time, and I've got the knowledge. So great, let's pair up, and you can create a pretty easy legalese and come up with an agreement, and it works out. So.
We have a question.
I was wondering, how do you guys find all your deals, and what is the criteria you guys use when deciding to purchase?
Well, I have a formula. I'm a numbers person, and I have a formula. I get my projects primarily through realtors that work for me and know what I'm looking for and think that this might be a good opportunity. For me, the grosser, the better. If it only needs a paint job, and I'm not one to put lipstick on a pig, so to speak, I don't mind the hard work, and that's where the payoff comes in for me. And networking. People now that have been doing this 10 years, I always make sure whatever house I'm rehabbing, I knock on all the neighbors' doors, I give them my card, I kind of befriend them so that they'll keep an eye out on the property, and then you never know. I'm always getting a phone call, oh, my mom's house is horrible condition, she just wants to get rid of it, we don't want anything to do with it, do you want to buy it? And that's happened a number of times.
I like that. Again, I lean on my realtors, so like if there's an area that's doing well, and there's something they know that I'm buying and I've got the crews to do it, then I use that. Here's the other thing too that I've learned: whether the siding has some hail damage, or it's completely falling apart, or the windows are just kind of bad or broken, or the roof is just a little old or completely destroyed, I'm redoing it all anyway in most cases. And so I try not to look at the stuff that your eye first sees. I think that's a mistake people make. Some of the best deals I've had have been the grossest, worst, just like awful, because people are overlooking them. The reality is that in most cases you're going to be doing siding, you're doing windows, that side anyway. So I try to look at it as, how excited is the realtor about it? Put it like that. If my realtors, the team of guys that I work with, they're excited about it from a selling standpoint, then I'll buy it, because I know that if they're excited, they're going to put the effort into selling it. If they're not super hot on it, even if they're wrong, I would just move on, because there's usually other deals.
I'd say for me, that's a tough question. Really, finding the deals is where you make your money where you have them. So it's really a tough market right now. Sheriff sales, people pay a lot of money there, tax sales could pay a lot of money there, auctions pay retail, pay retail. I think all of the above, but really, just the MLS is good, as good deals as any. It's really, it's tough, but
And I'll be honest, I don't feel like it's a tough market, and it might be because of my relationship with the realtors. I network a lot. I have a huge network on Facebook, so I've like had deals just kind of come to me. The other thing too, and this is hard when you're starting out, but if you do a good job and you follow through with what you say you're going to do, and the transaction is easy for the realtor. Again, I'm not the one listing and selling the property. Then they'll like to work with you, and they'll talk about it, and it kind of helps. And so that, you know, I think someone mentioned that they're going to take, and you do a good job. If your first few deals is something, you should always do a good job anyway, but especially the first couple ones, do a really good job and try to get that out there, and you'll have a few deals just kind of land in your lap because of that.
Yes.
I was just gonna say, I think the market is really, really, really saturated. It's really tough. You know, because I need to make a certain margin, and it's not even that big, but obviously I can't lose money on a project. However, so I've been trying to look outside the box. There was a great meeting here a couple weeks ago, or a couple months ago, that Al Perez did on how to maximize your space. I've been looking at 2 bedrooms. I would never ever recommend buying a 2-bedroom house, but I'm looking at them because I'm trying to figure out ways to make them a 3 or 4-bedroom house. So this property I just bought last week, that is a real wreck, but it was a 2-bedroom house, and I think a lot of people overlooked it because they don't buy 2-bedroom houses, and I'm going to blow out and make a dormer in the back and put another 2 bedrooms upstairs and another bath, so it'll be a 4-2. And, you know, so you have to kind of look outside the box, but
Yeah, you could use a hot market to your advantage there, because if you can fit a bedroom in there, it'll, you know, you can list it, and you can get what you're on. That's a good point.
So we wholesale, so I'm partial to that, so I don't need to explain what wholesaling is, but at least for the buyers that I see that are having success, I don't know that they're using formulas anymore. There's just not enough deals. They're not there. I mean, there's nothing wrong with formulas, but if you're looking for the perfect deal that you're going to get at 70%, like, you know, ARV, that's 70% minus repairs, you're looking for a uniform right now, because everybody on this panel is going to take that deal, and you'll still be putting in your offer. So if you're looking to get your first deal, you may have to take something on thinner margins. You may have to take a little risk right now because the market's really tough. You know, we have a lot of people, first-time people that are working with a realtor, and they're looking at like dozens of houses a week and putting in low offers. I can tell you from experience that broker's not working hard for you very long because they're tired of wasting their time. So if you're trying to get market properties off the MLS, you don't have money, you might be borrowing it, you don't have a contractor, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, it's going to be tough for you. It's going to be real tough. So you need a network, you need to find the money, you got to have the contractors, get it all lined up, and then go look for a deal.
I got 12 offers on the house in Lake of Four Seasons that I listed last Wednesday. 3 of them were hard money offers. Didn't even look at them because the cash offers are just as high. You can close, you know, in a week, whereas hard money you're looking at probably 30 days best case.
And just an example, that house, those offers were from $70,000 into the 120s. I mean, that's $40-some thousand, $50-some thousand spread from different investors. So, you know, everybody's gonna have different numbers. We know who's using the formula, people at the 70s, because that's where it should be.
Right, but it's a really, I want to hang out with you because you're the only person who's like, oh yeah, there's lots of deals.
Well, you know, what you guys got to keep in mind about Nathan is Nathan has a lot of other businesses. You know, he didn't really talk about all his businesses, so he's busy, so he relies on his people a lot. And that's one thing that I really respect about Nathan flipping houses, is that he's not there babysitting them every day. You know? He's not. He's got good people, he's got lenders, he's got realtors, he's got everybody lined up. He's built a team, he's built a business, not a job.
He also has a bigger area. What cities are you flipping?
He's not telling you.
And it's a lot in Porter County.
Yeah, I mean, I've done deals in Hobart, Portage. I've done a lot of deals in Couts now, looking at Knox and some other areas. But again, I would have never in a million years thought to go to Knox. I mean, I wouldn't have personally thought that, but in market, I trust every numbers I do. And what he said has a lot to do with it. I don't overthink a deal. If I look at it and my guys say they can do it and they tell me they can do it this amount of time, I just buy it. I've actually done deals that I used someone else's, and this is like the internet story, but I've used other people's money and I never even saw the house because I was too busy to go there and it made like 28 grand on it. So it can happen in this market.
I was talking with someone last week and they were complaining about not having enough deals, and we were talking about they only want to flip houses in Cedar Lake. Like they're just, if that's the only area you want, it's just going to be tough.
Real quick, yeah, just yell it out. So I had a question. So when you guys define the deal that has potential, do you usually walk it with a contractor, or do you guys just kind of know what you think it's going to be, or obviously you want to move fast. How do you guys organize framing up the deal?
Well, needless to say, since I'm the one who works with the numbers and it's a formula, I have a paper, and it's the exterior, and I'm going through roof, landscaping, garage, soffits, fascia, and I just go through that list and I know what my numbers are because, one of the things from doing it for so long, and I'm not doing any of the work myself whatsoever. Don't know how to work a hammer. But what I do have is the knowledge, and at the very beginning, if I looked at a property or knew ahead of time I was going to need a roof, well, I was calling roofers. And I was putting together my I have like a composite book, and it's filled with subs. It's everything from garage doors to roofs to bathtub refinishers. They're all listed, and anytime I hear of somebody and it's been recommended, then I go in my book and I make little notes along the way. So if I know a project and at the very beginning when I didn't know how much a roof was and how many squares it was going to be, I now have that information, that knowledge, so I'm automatically going to know. And I had to call the roofers and say, how much would a 1,000 square foot ranch style, house run? And then I would come up with that number. So sometimes I didn't get it because it took me too long to get all the information from what was needed in the house. But as time went on, I learned, and now I really don't call very many people beforehand. I just do my numbers, come up with my total of repairs, and then, as I said, I have a formula, and if it fits in within the formula, I put in an offer, and Adrian knows, boy, I've got to stay with my numbers, and unfortunately, he and I haven't been able to do a deal yet, but I keep trying.
We're getting closer.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have my brother as my foreman, I guess you'd call him. Every now and then I'll have him look at it, but to be honest with you, like, I pretty much have flipped mainly the same house. I don't care where it's at, but I've done mainly 3-2 ranches. Like, that's kind of been my thing. The siding costs the same on all of them. The roof costs the same on all of them. The windows cost, it's all the same. I know what my HVAC guys would be. I kind of did the work in the beginning when I decided I want to make a business out of it to kind of at least have a general idea of what these things are going to cost. So I can look at a deal and like walk it in 2 seconds and tell you if I want to buy it or not. Just based on those things. Again, I have a slight advantage because I have guys available to do it, but I don't personally overthink it, or like I don't spend as much time looking into it as maybe you would because I have other people who can do it. But gosh, there's something else I was thinking.
So I do a lot of the contracting, and so I can walk through and kind of say, oh, it's going to cost this. Essentially, just look at it, it will cost this. But when I started, and I wasn't doing this full time, I would go. So I had an office job, and I'd go look at houses and traipse through these mold infested houses at night and all this. And I didn't know. I didn't know how to do that. So I went online and got a pro forma and worked up what I call the pro forma. This is what this could rent for, I think. This is what it would cost. Really kind of detailed. And, you can figure out what some things are. Gutters are $5 a foot. Roofing is this much a square kind of thing. And at least then have a rough idea. And when I was starting out, I needed a little bit of wiggle room that I didn't know, unknown. You know, I didn't know what plumbing was behind the wall. Well, now I can drive up to a house and pretty much tell you what's behind the walls, you know, what we're filled with. But that's kind of what I did. And then you can always look at the last one you did. And it's a lot of work, but then you start getting ideas. You get those numbers in your head. Like I said, it takes an hour behind the computer, but then you start figuring it out. And then I just always had a little more pushing.
You know what I was going to say? Well, I think that a lot of this, believe it or not, beyond the ability to calculate the numbers and know how to do the work is the relationships you build with them. I know I said it a few times already about my realtor, but same thing is I went to some contractors that I knew, this was before I had guys that could do everything, and just like go hang out with them a little bit, get to know them, and like, hey, I want you to be my guy. Like I'm gonna build a business out of this and be doing these, so that when I get a deal, I don't have to call 3 people and get 3 estimates. I just use one guy. The other thing is, I network a lot with the realtors. I can't say that enough. You know, the first deal I did with you guys, I mean, I don't know, maybe it wasn't, but the first deal I think we did, like, I didn't even really need the money. I just did. I've never needed the money. I do deals with people because they want to do deals with me. Like I want them to want to loan me money on deals so that they're looking for deals. I know they wholesale deals, so if they think they can sell me a deal and give me money on it, then we all win. So I can't say that enough. Like, get a good relationship with a couple of good contractors so that you know when you go to them, you can trust them. They're not all bad.
All right, this will be our last rehabbing question.
Okay, for someone just getting started, with your experience, what has been some of your big success stories, or what would you say to stay away from when you're looking at properties? Each of you.
So the properties that are usually the most problematic are the ones that are odd. Find something very typical. Anything that's weird, you know, weird way to get to a bedroom through a kitchen or just anything, that's something you typically can't change or it's going to cost a lot of money to change. If you're starting out, just buy something that's cookie cutter. There's nothing wrong with that, you know. Go buy the typical 3-1 slab and hammer, all the same. Or whatever, you know, I'm just using it as an example, but that's one thing. Just don't buy something weird on your first one, because if you can't change it, everybody's going to notice it, they're going to hate it.
So let me, before the rest, answer their part of that question. This is for you, Justin. When you say don't buy weird, the house in Crown Point that I smashed my head in the ceiling walking up the stairs, and I'm 5'6", was that not weird?
Yes. It had like a 5-foot high ceiling upstairs. It was like for midgets upstairs. It sold though. I never sold it again after we bought it from them.
I would say when I walk into a house, again, because I've done so many of them and I oversee them, I mean, this is what I do. I don't have another job, so I do a few of these a year. I started experimenting and going outside the box because I've done 36 of them, and I kind of do it for the fun side of it. And yes, I make money on all my deals, but I walk into a house and I love 1950s houses. I think they've got great bones. They're primarily hardwood floors. And I walk into a property and I'll think of what walls I'm going to knock down to have that open concept. It's kind of always knowing what people want at the time. So that's what I would recommend, is to just think about what people want, what's going to sell. And you know what people want too from first-time home buyers, which is what I concentrate on? They don't want to do a darn thing. Not a thing. So you have to finish it from top to bottom. So you can't just say, oh, this bathroom is fine. No, they want everything done. And that's what I personally get off on is at closing. When I talk to whoever's about to buy my property, I ask them what they liked about it. And that's what, besides getting the check, I love to hear what they liked, and you learn a lot.
My favorite part is getting the check. No, so from like a stay away kind of standpoint, one of my main companies that one of the first companies I started was a fire protection company. I'm super sketched out about electric stuff. So if there's any old electric, if you need to go, if there's aluminum wires, anything like that, even a great electrician could make a mistake that could cost a family a home or a family member, which scares me. So I'm always really leery of that. Any potential electrical problems I try to stay away from, typically. Aside from that, I talk to my realtors on what's hot right now. What do people want to do? What are people loving? What do they hate? And I just go based off that. But other than that, anything else can be fixed.
Well, I would say two specific things and then one general. So if you look at a really, really bad house in the city, like Hammond or Gary, there's many pitfalls. First of all, if you're going to buy it and rent it, they don't like that all the time, especially Hammond. They don't want to, they want people buying and renting. So if you see a lot of code enforcement violations, like the city has their eyes on this place, boy, if that's your first house, don't buy it. They'll be down to that. And then you also check for demolition orders. That, you know, if people buying houses, then they demolish them. So really, I'd stay away from the worst house in a city. Maybe in the country they don't bother you as much, but in a city proper. The second thing, just a general statement I'd say is, if you, so I've looked at a lot of houses that are really nice houses, big houses, but there's nothing really to compare it to. So if you have a lot of comparables, you have solid numbers that this is what this house is worth. But you know, I remember right outside of Whitehawk, there was one that I looked at, and it was just, this mansion was a great house. But everything else was kind of modular homes, or, you know, there's nothing. So how, if you're going to sell this house, how would somebody value it? We just don't know. You know, somebody would say, well, the comps don't, you know, and the bank won't lend me money because there's no comps. Well, that's not your fault. It's a nice house. But it kind of goes with what Justin said. Make sure there's 100 other houses kind of like this, and yours is no different. Then you know what you have.
You never want the biggest house.
Never want the biggest house.
Awesome. We're going to move on to wholesaling questions. So if you have a wholesaling question, now is the time to ask it.
What forms of marketing do you? What forms of marketing do you use?
I knew that question.
He puts his pretty face on a postcard and mails it out.
So for marketing, I mean, like Julie said, the market's saturated. We're sending a lot of mail, and then I show up and your mail's there, along with the guy behind you's mail. We're doing a lot of everything. We're on the internet, we're pay-per-click, we're a lot of direct mail still. Our marketing budget is $135,000 this year. So I guess our advantage is we can outspend most people. But direct mail still converts. We're on restaurant placements. We get a lot of attorney referrals. Kind of everywhere.
Restaurant placements?
No.
No. I see you guys often wonder.
Call me and sell me your house.
So to kind of elaborate on that question, when I got started back in 2016, there was a big wholesaler out of Highland that I was competing against, essentially. So, and they did a lot of things well, and there was also a lot of things that I heard negative about them. So when I built the business, the way that I knew I would compete against them was building a brand. So a lot of the stuff that we spend money on, like placemats, don't necessarily convert. I actually just renewed it for another year. And I looked at how many calls we had this year. It was like 4. But people see us, they get our mail, then they go to a restaurant. So it's just building a brand. So we do a lot of branding that it's hard to quantify whether or not it works because it doesn't necessarily convert, but it does help.
I know the other letters usually when the postcards, do you all still use the postcards, or is it
I actually don't do any of the mail. Adrian does, but I don't think we use any yellow letters whatsoever. Most of ours are branded letters or postcards, but we've gotten away from yellow letters. People don't respond to them with the, it's like the yellow letter with the red letter that says I want to buy your house.
Like the yellow legal pads.
So if you want to give it away, call me. They might work in certain areas, but typically when I go to an appointment, they have mail from 20 to 30 people. So if they have to make a decision, and my offers are lower because all you greedy investors want great deals from me. So I have to offer low. So we use a lot of branded stuff, mostly branded.
Just pretty much it. It seems like, we know stuff for a little bit, but it seems like, you get the calls, because I'm doing my marketing, you get the calls, but we're talking, you turn everything down. That's, every property I come in, I try to keep everything, and everything myself. It's areas of abandoned homes. I'm finding a lot of tax hit people that bought it for $500. Someone sold them a dream, they want to sell it for $30,000. When I researched the property, you want to sell it for 30. How do you control that? You can only sell anything. There's a buyer for pretty much almost everything out there. But you waste your time on it. The majority of that too. How do you kind of balance that out? You get a lot of flow, but you might not be sure.
If you're a one person, a one man show, you can kind of do those deals. It's a little bit easier. It's harder for us because we're scaled up. I'll just give you what our typical numbers are. If we can't make 20,000 on a wholesale, we're typically going to bother. It's just not worth all the work. When I was by myself, I would do wholesale deals for $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. It was no big deal. The other difference is we close on every property. Almost every single one. We'll do maybe one assignment a year, so if I'm buying 100, I'm closing at 99. So my numbers are a little bit low because of that, but you just got to pick an area buyers will buy because it's really easy to get calls from all over the place and see a shiny object and you're like, oh, this could be, but the deals that, the tax liens and all that sort of stuff, like they come with a lot of baggage that require a lot more work, worth the effort. So you just got to kind of determine what your bare minimum is and just stick to it.
Yeah, one more question.
Let me elaborate on that. One of the issues with a lot of wholesalers, and this is why they have a bad reputation, is a couple of reasons. One, they'll put a lot of anything under contract, see what sticks, and then they back out. And I've talked to a lot of sellers that had a deal with a wholesaler. They didn't realize it was a wholesaler. That person obviously didn't know what they were doing, so they put the house under contract at too high a price. They couldn't find a buyer. They back out, leave the seller hanging. Seller thought they were buying it. So when I built my business, I wanted to do things the right way. So, a lot of people find a good deal, the buyers will come. I'm like, well, let me talk to my buyers and actually see what they want, how they're making their buying decisions. So I networked a ton before I even put houses under contract. And then based on the feedback from them, I went to the areas they were buying in. I used the formulas they were making their decisions for. And then I was able to buy houses that I knew I could sell.
Do you have a voicemail off your advertisements? Do you answer the phone live, or do you have a voicemail that sends into whatever?
So all the calls come to my phone primarily. If I don't answer, then we have an answering service called Pat Live that answers. We try to get back to them right away. Because people, if they're searching at that moment, once it goes past 5 minutes, your chance of literally hitting anything is really low. Just for an example of that, I'll kind of give away one of my secrets. When people are searching websites, our stuff targets you so hard after you've been to our site, because when you're on somebody else's website, I want you to get targeted constantly. We're on Facebook, everywhere you see me, because you just become irrelevant after a few minutes. They've called somebody else. So you got a live answer. If you don't live answer, just expect to lose deals. Because if you don't, I will.
How many times do you hit them with the direct mail, and how long of a time span do you wait for every letter / postcard?
So this is my favorite line: until they sell to me, die, or tell me to F off.
It's pretty often.
No, every 30 days they get mail from us, depending on the list. Actually, I had a little old lady at CVS cuss me out tonight. Apparently, we've been sending her mail, and she asked us to remove her, but I don't know what happened with that.
I do.
But yeah, we just keep mailing. I mean, once they make contact with us, typically I'll just remove them right away because they're in our follow-up. What I found is that sometimes people will become avoidant. So I may throw them back on a list because they can't avoid them. people don't like the way my calls text, or I'll just block my number. And they're like, oh, yeah, I meant to call you.
Rarely do a sign up. The market makes so tough. How do you actually secure the use of He's from Illinois.
Yeah, so Illinois is painful, right, with closing costs, because probably at bare minimum, what, 4,000 or 5,000 if you're paying all the closing costs? Yeah, our typical closing costs of a dealer are around $1,100, so it's not a big deal. We don't need attorneys, so it's not a huge deal. We take our time to sell everything. We pretty much own everything we're selling. We can put on the MLS, we can send out cash buyers. We're in no hurry. It's kind of the cost of doing business, but then, it's not a big deal. For us, it's $1,100. In Illinois, it's just cost per hit.
How many mailers do you have to send out like per response, and how many mailers do you have to send out usually per purchase of the property?
I'm going to deflect to Adrian because he's the numbers guy.
Glad we just had our quarterly meeting. So the typical response rate, and it depends on the mail list, it averages 0.8% are callbacks. Now out of that 0.8%, about 65% are what we consider a lead. And a lead is anyone that's like, hey, I need to sell my house tomorrow, I'm going to lose it to a sheriff's sale, to, hey, you sent me a letter, if the offer is right, I'll sell my house. So there's a big spectrum of who that is. So that brings us to about 0.5% that are actually leads. We'll go on about 75% of those appointments because Justin has skill and I have some skill closing. We've also gone to a lot of seminars and paid for a lot of advanced sales training. We close 1 out of 3 of our appointments. So with all the mail that we're sending out, it takes about 2,800 pieces to land a contract. So you figure between mail, he had talked about our average profit. Our average profit this year is up about 50% over last year. Our marketing costs per deal have gone up 400%. Last year we spent $1,000 and $1,200 per house that we were buying. This year between pay-per-click, internet marketing, and mail, we're spending about $4,000 per house that we buy.
And how much do you spend on average per mail?
It depends. I was using someone local to do it last year, and it averaged about 75 cents a letter. They were pretty much doing it at cost to get my business and help with their systems. I've switched to someone else this year for my average letter. Again, I'm doing it local, so it's a first-class stamp. I'm at 95 cents a letter. When I do a postcard, I'm using like a Yellow Letters or one of those big national companies. Volumes or some of the higher ones, 50 cents for a postcard.
You said you'll convert about 2,000 pieces of mail, postcards and letters combined. You'll have a conversion rate.
I've tried. A lot of people do all this test marketing, and we track the postcards and the letters and all of the different things. To me, they all get the same response rate. I've done 1 yellow letter this year, and just to kind of give something different. That response rate was the same as a postcard versus a typed letter. The big thing is consistency. I've had people that, I don't remember what house this was, but the guy called me and was like, hey, I just got your mail. My tenant just left. He trashed the house. I really want to sell. Well, I looked his name up. He was on the very first list I mailed in the fall of 2015. And I went back and looked. I had mailed him 18 times, and he only remembered that last letter that I sent. 18 times over a 2.5-year period. So,
I was just going to, for flippers that are listening to this, look at all the time and money and energy that's spent on their side of the coin, finding these deals. It's in your best interest to be friends with wholesalers that know what they're doing, because those are good deals. If they spend all that time, spend all that money in the mail, they go to the appointment, close the deal, they're not going to go and buy. Now, if it's someone that's just assigning contracts, that might be different, but guys like this who are actually purchasing the homes, they're not going to buy a home that they can't sell. And so if you're in their ear telling them that you're looking for a deal, that's how you find deals too, and that's how you stay busy.
I have a question. You guys ever wholesale any unimproved dirt?
like a vacant lot?
Yeah, the vacant lots or?
We got one coming up.
Yeah, we have one in the subdivision coming up, but it's pretty rare.
We don't market to them. Primarily it goes back to the original thing they talked about. We market to what everybody else is buying. So not a lot of people are developing new land, so we don't really market for vacant. The one that we have coming up is in Lake Hills. I found it before it went to a sheriff's sale. We've been actually dealing with that one for over a year, trying to get that one closed. They say we're closing this month, but they've said that a couple of times.
You got title?
Not yet. We're still working on it. The IRS supposedly just released the lien. But grab my card after, I'll share it with you.
This could be a 3-day long seminar question, but what was a couple of the things that you found that you guys did that helped you scale from a deal here and there to actually getting consistent and say, okay, now we're closing 4 to 5 deals per month, now we're closing 10 deals a month?
I don't think it was any one thing. It's been a lot of work. I mean, it's taken a lot of work and a lot of money. It's been hundreds of thousands of dollars branding a company. And it may have no immediate return, and it didn't for a long time. Branding helped a lot. You wholesale, so does Justin behind you. So, quite honestly, if they're calling the 3 of us and they look for reviews and they say, I have 30 positive ones on Facebook and 20 with a Better Business Bureau and I'm 8+ rated, if my offer sucks, they may go with me. Because I have a strong brand and we spent a lot of time with that. I think one thing we thought is we'll just send more mail and we'll be just like linear. We'll just send 10,000 more pieces and get 10 more deals, but it really didn't work that way. It costs like maybe 3 times as much. So you just got to really think big and keep sending mail and just be ready to answer when we call.
I think one of the things that made a big difference when we partnered up, because you did once, you tracked your stuff using legal pads, I tracked my stuff using Excel. There's a lot of things we didn't know, but right away we joined a mastermind. And I'm not Dutch, but I act like I'm Dutch. I hate spending money. And Justin's like, just do it. I'm like, dude, it's 15 grand for 4 meetings. But we did it. In the very first meeting, the tools that they talked about for not just wholesalers, but just rehabbers and people in real estate in general, the systems that were put in place, by implementing that stuff, if I only went to that one meeting, it was worth the $15,000. I mean, there were issues I had. I had 6 lists that I was mailing, and I used 1 phone number. So when they're calling me, I have my 6 Excels open. I'm trying to figure out, are they calling me because the house is vacant, because they're behind on their mortgage, or because they're an old lady? And as I'm trying to talk to them and listen, and I'm trying to figure out what list, well, one of the tools they talked about in the group is a system where you can have 20, 30, 40 different phone numbers for your marketing. It all rings on your own phone. And then after the phone call, it emails me a recording of the call, and I know exactly what list they came off of. In fact, when I answer the phone, it whispers in my ear, call from, let's say equity list or absentee. So I already know when I'm talking to them. So it's stuff like that. The CRM that we use, all the different tools that we use, all came from the mastermind that we're a part of. So if you're looking to scale and learn, get involved in something and be part of something at a national level where we can go. When we go, we're going to one next month. I'm an open book. I'll share whatever I want there because I'm not worried about someone in Dallas stealing something from me. And here tonight, I'm open, but I'm not all the way open.
Yeah, I didn't really think about that. Mastermind group, it seems like a lot of money, but once you get to $1 million, then you have a whole new set of problems. But like in our group, we just found a group that had guys that were doing 10, 20, 30 million that were thinking bigger already. They were already at where we wanted to be. So we just had to find people to kind of network with that were at where we wanted to be and had the problems that we were already looking at. So
I don't know if you've picked up, but in a lot of the questions, there's a common theme going around about networking.
You had mentioned the CRM. I know a lot of different wholesalers use different CRMs in their business. Early this year, Podio was down for about maybe 4 days or so. How do you leverage against something like that? You run your whole business through a CRM, and Lord forbid it goes down.
Drink a lot of beer.
Yeah, Podio has been really problematic. We use investor fees through Podio. Fortunately, they're kind of switching to a non-Podio based system now, so it's tough. I mean, when it's down, it's down. You can't do anything. So you've got to, kind of have some backups of some stuff and have some contingency plans. But we're all technology based. I mean, we have almost 40 phone numbers. So everything is tracked. Everything goes from here to there to, all these working things have to happen for it to be perfect. So sometimes it doesn't work. Technology is technology.
When Podio's down, we use CallRail for the numbers, and since everything's recorded there, we can go back and see what we missed and listen to everything again. But it's labor intensive to have to put that all back into Podio when it's back up. A CRM, for those of you that don't know, is management software that all of the leads that we get from the mail and other sources, they all go in there. We can track where we are in the process, if we talk to them, if we set an appointment, the outcome of the appointment. It gives us reminders on when to follow up with them. That was the hard part when I had things in Excel. Is every day I had to go back through and look, who do I need to follow up with today? But with Podio or any other CRM, it literally sends I can set a task for 3 weeks from now, and on whatever day that is, I'll get an email in the morning. Here are your tasks for the day. These are all the people that you need to follow up. And any type of sales, and wholesaling is just sales. I mean, that's all it is. If you're not good at sales, you're not going to be good at wholesaling. But anyone who's successful at sales is because of the follow-up. If you're going to get the deal on the first try, it's not likely, but the fourth, fifth, sixth time you make contact is probably when they're going to start talking to you.
You guys also call, you guys do the call behind the direction, while the direction going out.
You're saying like cold calling? Yeah, we've done it. We actually had a third party do it. It was somewhat successful. We got 2 deals out of it, made about 30 grand, but it probably cost us 10 grand to get it off the ground. So it wasn't that positive. The hardest part was as a third party calling somebody. They were calling from the Philippines. They had, it was perfect English. They were really good. They were trained. It was just hard to then come behind them and then try to build a relationship with another person calling. But it did work. We got 2 deals out of it. But on the other hand, we did kill it this year because it was expensive. We were paying, I think for anything that was a landline, they could robo-dial for, it was $1.50 per connect. And then cell phones, they had manual dial because of FTC stuff, so that was $2.50 per connect. So if you're going to do it, use a third party, just pay very expensive money. If you're going to do it yourself, then just make sure you're in compliance with do not call list and stuff, because they're cracking down on that, ringing voicemail, stuff like that. Investors are a target because they consider us unscrupulous.
Half
saw my vultures thing. Yeah.
Half of the 10 grand that we spent was just getting, taking our mail list, finding their phone numbers, and then scrubbing it against the do not call list and other lists. That's half of the money was just getting the whole system set up. The biggest thing that was challenging is so these people would make the phone calls, they'd talk to them, ask them basic information, then they'd send us an email with, the results of that call, and then we had to turn around and call them again, and to try to get them on the phone a second time with a different number, it's just tough. So if you're doing it yourself, it might be better, but to try to call back a second time. My timer just went off. If we have one more wholesaling question, we'll do that, and then we'll move on to
Joe's trying to get them all in.
So you brought up the ringless voicemails. Do you guys, it sounds like you probably are not a big fan of Sean Terry's RPM.
And when I get them, I just want to kill somebody, man. Because it's like, because it's not ringless. Like it rings once, and then I grab it, and it's like, hi, this is, Tracy, you've been approved for $1 million line of credit. It's like, how do my blood pressure boiling? And it's like, it's crazy, because I've done it too. Have you tried it? I mean, does it work?
I was in the process, and then all of a sudden it was just like, okay, set up this and that, and I'm trying to get a house ready, so it's like, okay.
It's really painful. You get a lot of people that call back and be like, yeah, you called me. What the heck do you want? Because it rang once. It's not really truly ringless a lot of times. It probably works. I mean, obviously anything is going to work, right? Anything. Any sort of action will get something done at some point rather than no action. Is it worth it to get a bunch of people pissed off that are, going to report you to whatever?
Especially if you send
They're coming down at ringless voicemail stuff. They've already passed something in Florida, I think, that doesn't allow it, and they're going to penalize that. So I would just say,
in the mastermind that we're part of in Dallas, there's a group that does, and they're in a big market, so they're doing 60, 70,000 ring this whole thing a month. And they're shifting their marketing strategy because of what the FCC is doing. The big issue is a lot of people don't listen to their voicemail when they get it. They just call back on the missed number. So then you don't have a clue why they're calling in because they don't know why they're calling in either. So.
And with the do not scrub list, real quick, and then we'll finish it up. The do not scrub list, so you get 5 area codes for free, and then you have to pay for everyone after that. So if you have any out-of-state numbers, you know, or past the 5, you're gonna have to pay for all those. Then you gotta scrub it.
Or you said the seller's numbers.
Yeah, you're supposed to. You're supposed to scrub it just like cold calling. So I mean, that's what costs us money is having it scrubbed and paying for this and that. If you want to do it properly, I mean, we have a target on our back, so somebody's always looking to sue us for something.
Well, if you look at the number of leads it takes to convert, and you say, I just want to clear Lake County, it's really not that much volume.
We tried it a small amount. I got nothing out of it. I got cussed out on it. That's all I got. And I'm not saying it's not going to work. It didn't work
Your
for
phone
us.
is going to blow up because they're going to do 200 at every 5 minutes. Well, you got all these people. Hey, I missed your call.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. If you're going to do it, just batch it. Send it out and batch it. Don't try to do it.
Given the cost,
My phone melted. Like they're just melted because I didn't batch it, and I think I sent out like the first time like I don't know 5,000 or something. So you can just imagine all that.
Awesome. We are going to move into questions on private lending. Private lending. All right, we got one back here.
One question I have is, there's different ways to private lend. If I'm not mistaken, you have like equity partnerships, and you have like the bigger, security deals, but you also have just the basic lending model. My question is, how is the lender protected if they do not have ownership in whatever LLC you're buying property on?
Well, they put in most cases they'll put a mortgage on the house so that they're somewhat guaranteed to be protected, but I mean ultimately it's a risk, and that's why their return is so high. Are you wanting to lend money, or are you just, is that why you're asking?
Well, actually, I was asking because I was looking at a deal. Well, actually, I have somebody who, for some weird reason, isn't able to be an equity partner, but they can lend money. And I was just asking because I would like to know how they are protected.
Sure, that'd be a better question for an attorney probably for the specific of the deal, but there's a lot of ways that you guys can answer this as better, but
I guess because I'm a private lender and I borrow money, I would want to know why you can't be an equity partner.
yeah.
Because that makes me wonder: is he getting ready to file bankruptcy? Is he getting a divorce and he's trying to hide it from his wife? What's going on? So it's probably one of those, or
it's
something like that.
It's a weird company. It's like a long story. I know why, but
Okay.
it just doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, depending on the deal, I wouldn't want to be an equity partner either. Or if I thought that you could potentially do something that would be damaging, and I didn't want to be a part of it, I could see that. But there's no reason they can't get a note mortgage at closing. I mean, typically all my deals are a note mortgage, insurance policy with me as a, the lien holder, and it should be enough for a lender. If they want more than that, I mean, well, I don't know what else they want, the first one.
Thank you.
We'll give you a mic, hold on.
So hard money is typically a lot more expensive than private lending. What are we looking at as far as interest rate points? As long as you do, and for this market, I'm this market, so I'm trying to get out of there. I found it private lending. What are we looking at as far as interest rate points?
I mean, I think at this point in the market, a private lender is going to cost you more than a hard money lender. But if you use hard money lending, you're not likely to get deals. Because if you send me a hard money loan offer, I'm filing it with my shrub. Because I probably have everybody else with cash, right? Because everybody in the ground has cash right now. So deal. I mean, sometimes I get 50% of the deal, sometimes I might get a flat rate, sometimes I might get points of interest. It depends on my risk level, what somebody's willing to offer. I mean, I never charge less than what somebody's willing to pay. You know, I mean, right? I mean, you never pay more than that for a house than somebody's willing to let it go for. So usually I'll ask first. It's ironic because I have people that I can borrow from and loan to in this room, so we all they're gonna offer less like next time, but I mean, it just depends. You know, some people are riskier deals, so the deal's riskier, so I may want more for it. You know, if I think I'm gonna have to do more work for it, I may ask for more. You know, it just depends. I mean, I would expect to pay no less than, you know, unless you have a long track record, at least 2 or 12, points of 12%.
So someone sends you a deal, how do you guys vet that deal, whether or not, and this would be if they're asking you for money, how do you guys vet that deal? What's your due diligence?
I guess this is what I'll lend. Okay. So I borrow money as well as lend money. When somebody's typically asks for money and they have no plan, no comps, no nothing, I don't even respond. I just delete it. Because I found that people with a plan tend to succeed, people with no plan, it's probably something wrong. So I like to see like a breakdown of, you know, what everything's going to be. If they've done deals before, and they do a lot of rehabbing, then they may ask for less because they've done it before. If it's their first deal, they better have contractor estimates, everything. But just be thorough. You know, typically when I ask people for money, the smart ones ask me a few things. What could go wrong? What are you going to do if it goes wrong? How am I protected? You know, why do you need the money? Because I actually have one recently. I actually had the lender in the room. I borrowed money from this person, and we loaned out a bunch of money, and then I had a bunch of money to loan with my IRA, but I can't do it with myself with my IRA. It's a prohibited transaction. So we actually went to one of our buyers and borrowed the money. That was one of his questions. Like, why buy money from me? And I was just honest with him. We had done a bunch of loans, and it made sense for him to move forward with it, but go to somebody with a plan, with a breakdown of comps, and
you do something. What do you give to them?
Depends. I mean, I've done a lot of deals on my own, and then I just started taking some money because of just scaling, and because I had loan other companies, it was they allowed me to scale to borrow money on companies. But I mean, I think 3 points and 13% annualized is kind of like a starting point that people do. I personally wouldn't probably do that because I have done a bunch of deals, you know, so I'm not the right person to ask for that. But look, it depends on if you've got a deal that's good enough, and if you only have $100,000, you might be better off to borrow the money and take a little pressure off yourself. You might be able to think a little more clearly on your first flip if it's not your money, you know. I personally probably wouldn't lend money to someone who doesn't have a good exit strategy, you know, if I'm in that scenario. But I've never lent out money on deals like this.
I was going to ask Nate, how do you finance most of your houses? Do you purchase and pay for all the rehab and the purchase price?
Yeah, I've done all kinds of deals. So I've done a bunch of deals just on my own. You know, I kind of said when I set into this that I moved, like I said, I own other companies, so I put a couple $100,000 into an account to flip. And then when I realized that my biggest expense was my labor, like the thing that will put a flipper out of business or really hurt their deal is their access to good workers. And so for me, it's worth it for me to pay interest on money to make sure that I always have deals going so that I can keep a good crew. The reason why I don't even have to get into a lot of these other questions is because I always have a crew there. So it's worth it for me to pay the interest on it, I guess is the best way to do it. You know, and for me, honestly, like I probably would never go to a bank for money. I wouldn't need to. I would just move one of my company's financing before I do that. I like doing deals with guys like Justin and Adrian and a couple others because it's really easy, you know, like I know they've got a good reputation and they're going to find good deals, and I'd like to keep a good relationship with them. I like to keep them close with me. So a lot of it for me is just about relationships. If a deal costs me an extra $8,000 in interest, and I didn't do any of the work because I have a crew of people that did it, and I made $28,000 instead of $36,000, I didn't use any of my own money, it's worth it to me because I can go put that money in another deal. So that's how I rationalize it.
So most of it's like from cash reserves and so forth?
The people that I borrowed money from.
Oh, no, I'm asking like when you purchase a house, are you borrowing most of yours? Or you?
Well, sometimes, yeah. Like I just did a deal where they funded the whole deal and rehab even on one. I have proof of funds to close on deals, so a lot of times I'll close on a deal, I'll buy it myself, and then I'll borrow money to put on that deal. You know, it just really depends. Get a good relationship. I mean, if you go to like a Renovo or a company that's like that's a hard money company, it's going to be the most expensive. If you can get a good relationship with the private money guy, and the deals make sense for them, if you start doing it more and more, then they'll do it. But I mean, it gets easier the more you do it.
And if you just keep it simple, you know, find a relative or somebody that you know has money, and work it that way. I mean, yes, you can do the different lending, but as I had said earlier, if you need money, look for somebody who's got money, and they'll partner up with you, and you could set it up that way and just give them access if they believe in you, because you've got knowledge or time. They've got the money, then you just split the profits with them in the end. And that's what I've done. If I've, got too many projects going.
I'm just going to give you an example. I have a couple projects going, and there's a house that I know I could flip in probably 45 days. It'll be super easy. It's dirty and gross. No one wants it. And I'm looking at our current workload, and I said, I'll give someone 88 for 80. Right, so if you give me 80 grand, I'll give you 88 in 6 months because I know that it won't take long to flip it. Worst case scenario, we have to launch this thing and I make 10 grand on it, it's worth it. And I couldn't tell people no. Everybody on earth would give me 80 grand for 10%. But for me, I secured this deal, it's totally separate. I've got guys that are gonna flip it. We paid 50 for it. We'll put 35 or whatever the deal was. There's a total of 88 grand in it. It'll sell for one. If we gave it away, it'll sell for 109 or 119, and we'll make some money on it. So I guess the point is that back to the relationship thing. Get a relationship, network with people, find good deals, tell people what you're willing to pay. Tell people what you're willing to give on it too. That's a good way to get people's ears perked up.
What are the durations like your loans to? So on something that's a rehab, I mean, it's got to be at least 6 months. I mean, like everybody tells me they're going to be done in 45 days, right?
Well, the project will. The whole deal will take much longer than that.
I usually try to get people at least 6 to 12 months. If it's a rehab, because you don't rehab enough, I know that stuff goes south. You may have to wait for an FHA buyer, a deal falls apart. It's your contractor's busy, it just gets pushed off. So I'm typically at 6 to 12 months. I don't want to be past 12 months because even when you're past, if you're like in the project stage past 6, like I'm worried.
Well, the market.
I'm worried, and so is your insurance company, because if you have builder's risk insurance, your premium's probably going way up at 6 months because they know you're going to screw something up. It's statistics.
Would you be interested? Do you guys do like financing for like a wholesale property? You know what I'm saying?
Like I did for you last month?
I didn't want to say it, but no, we'll do that. We'll do same-day financing. We'll do some transactional funding. We buy everything, so that's what we're doing. So we believe in it.
Is there a cap on the percentage of the Is there a cap on the percentage of the ARV that is like receiving video lend on? Say for example, it's the ARV is 100. Just use an easy number. Obviously, at some point you say, okay, I'm not going to lend you 90,000 or even 85. I don't know, is there like some type of formula a private lender typically uses? Does that make sense?
No, what do you mean by that? I'm sorry, maybe just rephrase.
Yeah, I mean, because a lot of your hard money lenders are going to want to be, not lend more than 70% of the ARV or 65 or anything like that.
Is that what they're asking? Yeah.
So I'll typically fund the full purchase and rehab, but I usually charge more for it because I have all the risk. I don't do phases, I don't do anything like that. If I'm lending you money, I would probably believe you. So, you're gonna get done or whatever down your flames, one of the two. But I don't wanna tie your hands with contractors, I don't wanna do all that, I'll loan the full amount. But I charge a little bit more for it. I know some property lenders that might only do 60% of their year or whatever. But I did one deal in here, I never saw the house before, after, during, the loan money. It was back to back, 30 days, it was a really good deal. Still to this day, I haven't seen it months ago. I drive past it all the time, but I just never looked at it. So the deal's solid enough, I don't really care about seeing the house ready.
Were you gonna say something, Nathan?
Well, I was just gonna say from a scalability thing, and I don't know if anybody's looking at this as building a business around flipping. In my world, the people that work for me know about my other businesses, and so I noticed on my first couple deals when it was my money, and even like now I have a deal going that's my money, the guys are like, they know I like them to know that there's someone else involved in the deal. It puts pressure on the deal to go faster. My flips that I borrowed money on, we move them faster because they know that there's someone else that's involved. And so it actually, for me, took a little bit of, to be honest with you, I like having that, like, hey guys, we've got investors on this deal. This isn't just me, you gotta, speed it up. So if you're looking at it from a scalability point, if you're sitting on money already and you can't make sense of it, getting other people involved, it brings a new level of accountability in, not just for you, because I don't need that, but maybe for your crews, other people that are involved. I kind of like that buffer there.
So much is relationships as well. I mean, Henry, Nathan, Julie, Justin, if they came to me and wanted money, I'm not going to do a ton of due diligence on the deals because they have a lot of experience, they have a lot of success. I'm not going to kill them on the interest because my risk is going to be a lot less lending to them. But then there's some people in here that have done no deals, one deals, and they've asked for money. And if it's not a slam dunk deal where I know if something goes south, I can't grab the house and sell it and at least get my money out, it's probably not even going to be worth even looking at. And if it's their first deal, the interest is going to be crazy high. I had a guy call me last week. He wants to buy multifamily property. The purchase price seems to be appealing, but he has no experience as a landlord. He has no money to put into it, and he has no W-2 income, so he has no exit strategy. I don't care how high the interest rate's going to be. It's just not a deal because you don't have a clue how long you're going to be sitting on that money. So, people are asking, what's the percent, what's this and that? It's all based on a case-by-case basis. I mean, we've done transactional funding where it's 3-4% for the day or the week. We've done loans. I have loans out right now to a guy unsecured at 18% for a year. So it all varies.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just act like the money is yours. When you're borrowing, do the deal as if it was your money. Protect that money. Keep it safe. Don't make stupid decisions. Don't go cancel the insurance. So you can save a few bucks or whatever. Treat it as your own. Protect it, and your lenders will keep coming back to you. You keep returning the money and you keep it safe. But if you're making bad decisions, you're just kind of reckless. You're not going to have access to it.
About 3 more minutes on this topic. Any more questions?
You had mentioned transactional funding, that typically it's like 3 to 4% for 24 hours to for 1 week. Obviously, you probably have some type of minimum payout towards you guys. Obviously, if it's only like a $20,000 transaction at from A to B at the table, is there like a minimum that you guys make? Instead of 800, $2 grand.
At least for the first one, because like one I did a couple of weeks ago was, I think we lent 27, we did 2. It's one of the first private money deals, so the mortgage, and there's just so much time involved doing the due diligence and all the paperwork to make sure that both sides are covered that 2 is worth the time. Any more questions? If not, we'll move on. Jeremy.
Most of the private money is from most people lend from an entity or from personally. What's happening?
most of it's personal. I think everybody, for the most part.
To us?
To us.
It's all personal.
You loan out of, yeah. Most of it to us is personal.
All of the money that we have on promissory notes that's not secure is personal, plus IRA. Even on mortgages, it's all personal.
Yeah.
I just did it out of an entity, so my name wasn't in public records for something else.
What percentage is IRA money? Would you say that you're on out of all the ones that you say?
We're at about 50% right now.
With IRA. Correct. I loan IRA money, but it's kind of a hassle. Like, I'm pretty experienced, so I can get a deal done pretty fast, but for a typical person trying to loan out of their IRA, it's not really easy.
So it's better suited for long-term stuff, like to do transaction of funding for a day for an IRA, with the timing and the cost to get it out, it's not worth it. To loan on a flip for 6 months, or I loan mine to someone unsecured for a whole year. I don't have to deal with it for the whole year, and it's a good interest rate.
Yeah, at least with, so we use Quest IRA, and we get hit for about $500 per transaction over fund, or, wire fees and all those things. So if we're gonna loan out of an IRA, it's gotta be worth our time, but it does take a little bit more time. So if you're gonna use IRA money, you just gotta kind of give yourself some leeway to get that deal done. It's not the same as cash. Cash we can wire in an hour. IRA, if you have a good one like Quest, it's $24 to $40. If you have some of the other ones, it may be a week.
Joe had asked what the interest rate on IRA is. I mean, IRA, I do the same due diligence that I would if it's money in my regular account. So it just depends on the loan, it depends on the person, it depends on how long they're going to have it. So we are done with that topic for now. We are going to move into the rental topic. So feel free to ask any rental-related questions. I'm going to start charging for questions.
Hey, there you go. All right, for the Hammond, like Hessville areas, when you typically see for cash flow for say single family, 2 to 4 units?
2 to 4 units, you said?
So 2 or 4 units? Or just single family?
Pretty much
So I've got, okay, so for 2 units, for duplex I get 800 aside, single family about 1,000. That's probably low. Every time I look around, every time I have a vacancy, I look around and I say, oh, I'm $200 low. So I escalated up a little bit, but good tenants are worth keeping too. And if you have a mortgage on the place and you're making $400 a month, and you have zero or a couple, realistically a couple zeros, a couple months where you're not making anything, that takes a long time to make up. So keeping tenants is really good, retention-wise. But I love Hammond. I bought them in 08 and the taxes were. Remember when the taxes were like 6.5%? House were going for $20,000. And now those rent for, like I said, 1,000 is the start. That's with no garage. You can get 2 bedrooms with no garage. So you can pay that back.
The number will change depending on how you acquire it. You saying kind of your pocket. What's that? What's a cash? They took the 2 bedrooms.
$500. Yeah. I mean, to mortgage, if you're all in with $40,000 in your mortgage, then what is it? Not even.
Do you cash out on yours, or are you keeping them all cash? Because that's going to affect your cash flow as well.
Well, that's it. I'm just using an example because I'd say most mine would probably get off because I got them long ago and I got them cheap. So when the tax rates went up, the house prices went way down.
You should probably sell them.
I should sell them.
Do you find that there's a general rule of thumb, 50% of your gross rent will be your net income. Has that been a
Yes.
fair rule of thumb for you in Hammond?
In Hammond, yeah. So when I started, it was a different world in 2008. You could get tons of money loaned to you, and housing was just going up and up and up, like it is now. But but then you could just loan 110% of what you just paid for the house. You had this. As long as your rent's paid for your mortgage, you were fine. Well, I found that I was in like a 5-bedroom in Dyer. I had these big houses, and they require more upkeep and all this. And I kind of figured out that the rents aren't all that different if you get a house. Say you bought a house in Highland for $130, or you bought a house in Hammond for $70. They rent for about the same. So I like Hammond for rentals. People in Hammond typically rent. They know what it looks like. If you got a 5-bedroom, people want you to change light bulbs, and they have 2 dogs and 5 kids. So it goes pretty smooth. I like it. I really have very little problem with my Hammond rent. I think I need.
You manage it yourself, or you have
I do. So I learned the hard way.
So you can't manage it?
No, I learned the hard way. So I've made a lot of mistakes. So it's pretty smooth now, but I manage it myself, and it's not bad. It works out well. I mean, a lot of it's finding good tenants. Once you've done that, you're there. There's a lot more than that.
Do you use tenant screening?
Yes.
Tenant screening, do you use it?
Oh yeah, so we do checks we never used to do before. It was, it's funny because when I first started, it had to do with credit scores and earning and just that. And we got burned. We had a lot of mistakes. We had a lot of bad tenants that looked good on paper. And smart people can fool you better. So right. So what we used to do is here's the other thing. Somebody comes in and is very desperate. I'll move in today. You're like, oh, money in hand. That'll really burn you every time. Why do you need to move in today? What in your life led you to have to move in today?
Eviction court in the morning.
Yeah, eviction court tomorrow morning. It's not on your record, so you got to move in someplace else where it's on the record. So eviction. So we look at a whole host of things that we did in the past. So we do look at credit, but so we'll look at like 600 is a good number, to start. I'm not saying we never take anybody less, but boy, that's, you really gotta, if somebody has a medical bankruptcy, that's a lot different than AT&T, Verizon phone bills from 1982. You couldn't figure that out, But a medical emergency, divorce, there's a lot of that, a lot of good tenants there that make good money. But divorce knocks you out, it's gonna knock you out. So does cancer, something else like that. So we look at credit, of course, earning. You have to earn, a quarter to a third of what the rent's going to cost. You're going to be competing with other bills, and then, why is it you're renting? Why is your credit where it is? Again, some lifestyle, some ways that people live, you're not going to fix. So if your car's being repoed, if your furniture's rented, and that's being repoed, those are decisions that they're going to make. And again, you're competing with Rent-A-Center now instead of, or the power company. You don't want to do that because your tenant's problems tend to be yours. So if you see somebody and, they've got a great history somewhere else, I call landlords, I'm very fast. I've seen over the house, see how you take care of it, that kind of thing. But we also look at then criminal, of course. But then what's really interesting is court documents. So you can look up somebody's name now online. We've been doing this for a while. That tells you a whole lot that a credit or a criminal won't see. I mean, are you in there for? You don't want a tenant that's in court for little misdemeanor complaints of noise, or your neighbor or my neighbor's going to be calling me, but that doesn't show up anywhere else. So, or maybe DUIs, maybe string DUIs, just that haven't, been settled yet. And then sometimes on Facebook stuff. I see people lie on their applications right there on Facebook.
One of the things, I just have a couple of rentals, but, and they've been in place for a long time, they've been living there for like 4 or 5 years, and seemed like a great family, et cetera, and then I called and found out from where he was presently renting that he was late, like 6 times in the past year. And I said, hey buddy, this isn't gonna work. You were late 6 times, I know you, everything else looked great, but it's not gonna work. And I made him pay a security deposit of $5,000, which is a lot of money. And he's been in there for 4 years, and sometimes he was late a couple days, and I charge him, and at the end of the year when I give him a new contract, I say, you owe me $200, you were late 4 times. So, you can do things like that.
Justin, someone have a question?
Yeah, 2 questions. Is Hammond friendly to landlords? I heard that there's
No.
She's still like.
Yeah. Yeah, so sometimes when everybody zags, I zag, and this is one of the ways. So Hammond is difficult in a few ways. Number one, if you buy a house in an entity, say an LLC, that's like a red flag to them. This means I'm going to rent it. And they want, so if here's how they do it. If the utilities have been off for 90 days, they have an agreement with NIPSCO that NIPSCO needs a fax letter saying that it's been inspected from him. Well, it doesn't have to say anything, it just has to say they're okay to turn the power on. So you can get power, anything, water's that, theirs, so you can't, it's hard to even work on the house. And they're gonna come, and sometimes they'll even look at it, sometimes they'll take pictures. So my advice, if you're buying Hammond, get your utilities on, whatever it takes, but then first buy it in your own name. And then you're gonna get a mortgage, or whatever you're gonna do it then, and then quiet title to an LLC. I mean, quit claim it to an LLC. Your bank, honestly, there's a due on sale clause, but they never call it in. That's clear. They never, as long as you're making payments, you're not gonna be wrong with your house, so. And then, as far as Hammond's concerned, you're in. The second thing with Hammond is you have to, and you just went up again, you have to register it. And by law, they can only charge a certain amount. They can sue, and they were able to go back up, I think it's $100 a unit or something like that. And they went back up because they won in court, but they were sued because it was taxation without representation. Like this was voted on and approved, but yet I couldn't vote, but I'm a homeowner in Hammond. I own homes in Hammond. So anyway, they actually won. It's back up. But where they really get you is, I was in eviction court once. I'm rarely ever in eviction court. Somebody walked in with a 10 unit, and they were late, and they were trying to appeal this or whatever. But you get hit with $500 for rentals. So they're coming in 5 days. But they have to pay just for the opportunity to rent their building in Hammond. So.
Hammond's not the only town in charge of registration.
No, a lot of them do. Crown Point does know, Dyer does. Munster pays, Munster and any inspection in Munster. But they never show up for the inspection.
In Griffith, for whatever reason, they stopped doing it.
Really?
Yeah. That's where my rental, and I used to have to pay, and they sent me a letter saying they're no longer charging.
And in Munster, I pay for inspections every year that they never, they did once in 15, I don't know, however many years. I'm not complaining. But it's something you just pay, whatever. But yeah, they're difficult. They're difficult on the front end. Once you're renting and the lawn's mowed, they're fine. And now they just passed, just this year, we got to pay the water. Landlord has to pay the water. Because they legally can't pursue you or somebody else's water that you have. You're stuck. You're stuck.
Second question, thank you. The single family versus multi.
I started with, so with duplex I think will make more money. Multifamily will make more money. I started off with single family because I always thought I could get out of it if I wanted to, right away. But, like I said, multifamily will make you more money, but then I think you need to manage. If you have a lot of them, it helps to have that managed. You know, the single family does, the thing I like about single family too is that you tend to have longer term tenants. So the ones that are one bedroom, you know, people's life situations, so someone gets divorced and one bedroom's great, you know, apartment's great, but just for them, you know, if their situation changes, so we have more turnover on the
This question's for Justin, and it's based off what Henry said, where you self-manage everything, Henry. Justin, you don't do any management. Why did you make the decision not to do any management? It's a good point. I'm not picking on you, like I normally do.
I mean, I'm love and hate with property managers, right? Like Karen's here, she's our property manager, so I've fired multiple ones already. They all overpromise, underdeliver. It's just the nature of the beast. In Karen's case, what she has going for her is she can do the rehab, she can do the management, and she is good with tenants. I mean, she's got the good personality for tenants. I found a lot of managers are really good at the management side, really organized, but they can't do the rehab, so I'm paying retail for rehab, or vice versa. Honestly, I don't want to hear from tenants. I don't even care to see them building. I just want to check right off. Let somebody else deal with it. You know, I mean, I don't enjoy dealing with tenants. I don't want to collect money. Having rentals isn't exciting for me. Like, I have a goal of 1,000 doors, but I really want to even see them. So, if you want to self-manage, then you're going to get the calls. I don't. I don't want any calls, and I don't mind paying somebody to do that. And it's hard. It is hard. I mean, we see landlords that get run over every day. I mean, because you're nice. Being a nice guy or a nice woman is a bad thing as a landlord. Trust me. It's bad. You're going to get run over because they're going to give you every sob story in the book. You know, as they leave the parking lot in Mercedes. But you know, it's not for everybody. You got to manage your managers. Keep an eye on them. Keep an eye on the books. Yeah, I fired a couple, so I had a couple that we had issues with from previous properties that just weren't thorough. I was actually, believe it or not, I was actually losing tenants because they weren't fixing stuff timely enough. And these weren't even problems that I had an issue fixing. But I was losing tenants, and I'm losing money, but you know what, the next month they're putting a new tenant in there after eviction, after I paid for that, and they collected my 1 month's rent to put a new tenant. So you gotta be careful with some managers will try to churn tenants. They're just like, okay, we'll evict everybody. They're like a day late and they're ready for eviction. But there's a time and place for eviction. You want to make sure they're not churning tenants that we're just collecting fees too.
All right, so I have 8:30. So we're going to move on to the final topic, which is anything. So if you still have rental questions, the wholesalers probably have wholesaling questions. We're just going to go 10 more minutes with questions, and then we'll finish up with a few other things. So here's another wholesaling question.
As far as at what point do you guys send out the late notices, and then also at what point do you say enough's enough and we're going to it?
For me, like whatever the lease says, like you got to train them. You got to train tenants. You know, if they think if they can work outside the bounds of the lease, then they're going to. Every chance they can, they're going to. You know, I mean, I guess if you have kids, like how do you discipline your kids? You just let them push limits and do whatever all the time. You got to train them, and it's a business. mean, we don't buy properties for fun, right? I mean, you guys don't like to work for fun, right? Like you'd rather sit by the beach or something. So, you know, they're going to prioritize you if you make them prioritize you. So, you know, I don't care if you pay your medical bills. Your heart surgeon isn't my problem, and I hope you stiffen because hospitals make a lot of money, but you better pay your rent because otherwise you're going to live in your car with your good heart. And I know that sounds bad. Like when I look at somebody's credit report, if they stiffed a bunch of doctors, I don't care. Like I don't care. Like if they file BK as a medical debt, it makes no difference to me.
I'd be surprised if they didn't.
What's that?
I'd be surprised if they didn't step to that.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. Medical issues are one of those reasons that really bankrupts people because of lack of insurance or whatever. So when I look at screening a tenant, you know, I'm careful with credit reports. I'm careful with criminal history because criminal history is becoming increasingly difficult to, you know, somebody did something 15, 20 years ago. I mean, everybody's done dumb stuff, right? Like, you know, what I did 10 years ago, you know, I went to jail for reckless driving. Driving 150 and a 45, should that be held against me my entire life? I mean, it's true. I mean, so you got to be careful with that. But I'm going to give a quick example. I'll be done. If you take payments from a tenant and you take it in installments, you'll become a creditor. So when they file bankruptcy, you are a creditor. So who's going to pay the water bill that they're not paying? You will. Who's going to wait for their money? You will. But they're going to live there for free because bankruptcy allows them to lump you in as a creditor because you have become one by taking payments. Do not take payments from tenants. All in full or nothing.
I've also seen where someone has filed bankruptcy and does not have to pay the landlord.
Do not have to pay you. They will live there for free.
Can I ask that sometimes on the rental agreements, don't some people put like if you're more than 3 days late, then you get a percentage added to the rent or something?
Yeah, like we have a late fee and then it's probably per day or whatever. You know, I mean, it's got to be reasonable. You can't rake people over the coals for.
But does that help with the training?
It's a good deterrent.
If you don't enforce it, I mean, you know, you got to enforce it too.
The one thing for people who are just starting out, Lake County, Indiana is a great, they are definitely landlord friendly. They're better for landlords, except with the exception of Hammond. In eviction, you can get people, you know, you just have to know a couple of the really good eviction lawyers, and you just, you know, keep that name, and you know that I'm gonna call Jonathan Peterson. He's one of the biggest in the area, and he will get them out within 10 days. Yeah, I mean, that's all you have to wait. So your person is 10 days, boom, again, you're running a business. But,
assuming you're using a good lease like his.
right, but he'll give you the darn lease, you know, so that's a no-brainer. You use his lease. And I make sure I get a new lease every single year, even though these people have been with me for 4 years, you know, and then I inspect the property. And they also, I'm a small-time landlord, so they know I'm going to come in. You know, I always let them know when I'm coming in. I also have a rental property that's college kids down in Bloomington, Indiana, and they know when I'm going to be down there. I let them know, put all your crap away. I'm coming in. I want to make sure, you know, because people are really stupid. They don't realize what a furnace filter is. Like this woman called me. She was 20 years old, and she goes, "Oh, I just want to let you know that there's water in the basement." And I said, oh, okay. How high is the water? Has it gotten up to the furnace? And what did she say to me? It was in a house. She said, "What's the furnace?" You know, it was a college student. So needless to say, you know, you do different things in different situations. But again, in Hammond, you've got, you know, a great opportunity is those rentals for college students, you know, by IUN.
All right, this is questions on any topic. If someone has a question that wasn't answered.
I just got a question back to property managers. Like, what's some of the search criteria that you have that these are the minimum requirements that you need your property manager to have?
So you'd be surprised how many property managers aren't licensed. They have state licensed on staff. Actually had one for a long time. I didn't even think about it. They didn't have a licensed agent on staff. Nobody. I'm pretty sure they're required to. Like they are. Yeah, they did. What do I look for? This time around, I look for somebody who's probably tougher on tenants. I had a lot of rentals with a previous partner, most of them in Gary. Actually, I was fairly successful in Gary. I had really good rents. I mean, most of them were between $700 and almost $900 a month. But I had some turnover due to the manager. So organization is something I look for. Talk to other landlords. I mean, we have a lot of buyers that buy from us, so I hear a lot of things, the good, the bad, whatever. So kind of now, and I know you guys do multifamily. So if I was looking at multifamily, would I use the same person? That's a 200, 300, 400 unit complex that needs a complete turnaround from the ground up in a position change. I don't know. That's a different story. Than small multis or because some property managers that do like large complexes. Just different, and they know how to change large complexes around. They may not know anything about single family, so it's going to depend on the property. I also have, I don't currently, but I've used different property managers for different areas. So I may use somebody different in Gary than I use in Highland. For obvious reasons, certain personality types don't work in Gary. And they just didn't know the systems,
All right, over here we have a question.
What do you said that not to take payments from tenants? So how do you get the money they owe you?
What I mean is don't take it and don't break it down. Don't let them pay you like here $100 in the first week, $200 in the
Well, if
second
they're
week.
like $50 short on their June rent.
Sorry, hit the road. Hit the road. I mean, does your mortgage company say, oh, sorry, I don't have that extra $50, I have to pay my cable bill?
Well, I was thinking like a young lady there has a $5,000 note on her roll. And at the end of the year, you can say, well, okay, you owe me $200 because you were late 4 times, or I take it out of this deposit and you're out.
I would not do that.
So to elaborate on what was talked about there, if you take partial payments, whether you break their rent into 2 payments, 3 payments, and then they file bankruptcy, the trustee for the bankruptcy is going to look at everybody that they make payments to. And if they look at the rent and they see that you're collecting it in, let's call it installments, then they're going to treat you as a creditor. Now let's say they had a credit card that they hadn't paid in 6 months, but you've been collecting, and this is what, I think it might have been Peterson in whatever month he came mentioned this. Some attorneys told us at the group here. But let's say they last paid their credit card 6 months ago, but they've been paying you for 6 months. They're going to look at you as a creditor getting an unequal share of their money. So this attorney was saying they can go and look at all 6 months that you paid. And they can take that back because it needs to be split up evenly against everybody that they got had to pay. So
that's true. That's happened to me.
So when I think I'm pretty sure it was Peterson. Don't quote me on that, but it was an attorney that said that to me. That was like, boom, I'm done with installments. You either pay the full amount of rent, or I'm not collecting anything. It's one of those things. It's all great as long as everything is great. But as soon as that one person files bankruptcy and you lose 6 months of rent, was it worth collecting half the rent, or is it better spending the money to evict and put a real tenant in there?
To that point too, I think the key is to be diligent about, we're not going to let this get behind. Because once you've done that, to get $5 grand, if you're talking we're talking 5 months, to get $5 grand out of somebody, who's got $5,000 that's just going to write you a check? It's just not going to happen. They're going to string you out, and they're going to leave in the middle of the night. And good luck. I mean, Jonathan Peterson's got a lot of wage garnishments that he's getting for us. Not a lot, but not to say I've got tenants, but if you're diligent and you keep up with it, you're not gonna get screwed that bad. You let it go 5 months. I've had really just bad tenants where I've just paid them to leave, just so they leave everything in order. You gotta look forward, move ahead, and say, I'm probably not gonna get this money today. Don't let them string you out like, it's coming tomorrow, it's coming tomorrow. If you don't get it, you have to file that eviction right away, so it's on record now, in the time it was supposed to, because you let somebody stay for free and they say, why this week and not last, or why last week and not this week? You just gotta be, you know, like a stove, when it's hot, they're gonna get burned. And it doesn't matter who you are. And, you know, the other thing too is, if you have, so my lease has late fees. So if you're 1 day late, it's like a $25 late fee. And then if you're 20 days late, you're looking into, you're coming into the next month almost. Then it gets to be like $100, whatever it is, $150, I don't remember. And so there's a real incentive, and we'll send a letter out before the 20 days, like, we know you're late this stage. We don't want you to become late this stage and have that pile up. And kind of, sometimes it's a wake-up call, like, oh, I forgot to pay the rent. You know what I mean? I forgot to pay the rent. Because once, again, if you're 2 months behind, now it's getting more difficult to go back in time to get that money. The other thing is, if you collect a rent, if you collect a late fee, that's not, so that doesn't count towards, if you're late on your rent and you pay your full rent next month, but you were late last month, 25 of that was your late fee. So we're not, you're still
This is why I use a manager, because it gets way too complicated.
But it's effective in that when you go to court, your late fees are all piling up there. And bear in mind, if you don't pay by the 20th of this month, your previous late fee, now you have another $100 late fee.
But
So it escalates
why
quickly.
Why wouldn't you just go in 10 days, make it black and white, in 10 days you let them know and then you start the eviction? Because it's not.
At 10 days?
Isn't it 10 days for 2 weeks?
That's typically when you
Because
can.
Jonathan Peterson's.
No, it's 10 days late on the rent?
Yes.
Because
Jonathan
I think a couple
Peterson's
reasons.
lease says has a 20-day
Oh,
clause.
20 days, sorry.
20-day clause. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't do that. There'd be a lot of trips to the courthouse to file that.
The other one.
But secondly, if you have good tenants that make enough, we do really well with late fees.
Okay, okay.
So it's a lot of money. I had people for years paying $100 extra rent. Let's call it $150. It does really well.
I have a tenant in
They're still there.
Munster, and great tenant, keeps the place immaculate. She pays late all the time. It's $100 a month. I'm not in any hurry to get her out. I just bought a 4-unit in Hammond, and I told Karen, go post a 10-day notice on this lady's door because she hasn't paid since April. And I don't even want to give her a second chance to wipe out the back debt and start new because she's like $200 below market rent. So it's like, get out, I want to get someone new in there. But just for the sake of time, let's give them all a round of applause. Thank you guys for question that you didn't have time tonight to ask. Definitely post it on our Facebook page. That's Invest NWI Investor Group. Post it on that, and you'll get a lot of good feedback on that page. Now is an opportunity, if you have any deals that you want to talk about, these can be wholesale deals, you have money to lend, you're looking for money, you're a contractor, you need a contractor, now would be a good time to stand up real quick, and you have 30 seconds to pitch your deal.
Hi, I'm Mark Vetnick. One of my buddies, he was trying to get into flipping with me, and we found him a deal, closed on the deal last week. Well, he ended up having some problems over at the house or something like that. He's trying to get out of this house, so he just wants to get what he has in it. So it's a house on County Line in Portage. When we did the accounts, when we had 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, it looked like we could get 130 for the house. So that's what he was in the process of doing at the time. So we already did a lot of the demo of the house and started laying out the house already. So he's looking to get out of it. He told me yesterday, so I told him I'll come here and pitch the deal.
You're on flyers that are out back?
Yes, the flyers are back there in the back.
And we just started doing this. If you have a deal that you want to pitch, some people are visual, so just bring flyers and put them on the back table.
He's 70 grand. That's what he's.
Where is it, Buffalo?
Portage.
I'm Ryan. I've got some flyers in the back. They got the blue header across the side. Got a place in downtown Coburn, 1,900 square feet, 4-bed, 2-bath. Has some foundation issues. Torn down to the studs inside. We're looking for 25 grand. It's got the bathrooms redone, kitchen's pretty much redone, could use some clean up. But yeah, overall, looks like a good deal. Market value is probably 125 to 140. I do have comps from the last 6 months on the bottom of the flyer, so go ahead and grab one of those. My number's on there. Feel free to
Justin.
My name is Justin. We got a wholesale in Lake Station at 2847 Hancock Street. It's a 2-1, 2-bed, 1-bath, 720 square foot, got a detached garage. It doesn't need a whole lot of work. The exterior needs a facelift. Interior is good, hardwood floors are good, foundation is fantastic, it's built 1954. Comes with all the appliances, and roof is brand new, it's a year old. It's got good bones, and it's got a, I want to say the water heater is probably about 7 or 8 years old, and it's got a Goodman furnace, I think that's 4 or 5 years old. So we're gonna have an open house this Wednesday.
You have a flyer out back, right?
Yeah, we got a flyer out back, and so 7/18, 4 to 6 p.m. We'll be there. Anybody wants to come check it out?
Fantastic.
Asking price is $42,000.
Cool. Any other deals?
I came unprepared, so basically I'll have more information, bring my name, number, whatever, have it on Facebook, so. I also have one Lake Station, and we're asking 40. I haven't even walked it, but the address is 2649 Marion. It sounds pretty identical to yours, so I mean, really the same price, and same house. 2649 Marion. No garage though, but supposedly it's in pretty good shape, just some cosmetics plus windows need to be replaced. And then I'm hoping in a week or two I'm going to have one in Southampton. I'm not going to give that address yet because I don't have it on the contract or anything yet, but
Nobody in here would go get it.
yeah, tonight. So, but basically, for 2 to 3 months I've been working on trying to get the owner, pre-approved for a loan, and there's a lot of obstacles through that. But all of a sudden, one house that didn't work over the weekend, she saw it and she loved it, so she's going to be contacting her, the lender, to see if they can get that pre-approved. And at that point, it's going to be a smoking deal in Southampton. It's currently right now a 2-bedroom. But they took out the main wall on the main floor for the master. But then go back up, and it's already got the registers for that room. It's got the windows for that room, and I'm not saying make a closet insert room. I'm saying it's going to be probably around, depending on how big you want it and how close to do with the rest, probably about like 130 square foot main bedroom. And then I might have something coming up.
Let's talk about deals that you do have.
Okay.
Cool. Talk to Joe. He wholesales. We've looked at his deals. He sells them. So get on Joe's list and you'll be able to get the stuff that he might have coming up. Justin, you have a deal?
I have $100,000 to lend, so if anybody needs any money, you can spend it. So,
I can't borrow it.
I'll probably be very popular soon.
Justin needs friends tonight. I always have deals. We do 5 or 6 off-market wholesale deals a month. I have one in Crown Point. I'm not going to go into the details. It'll be on my website, Invest NWI. I'll post it on there tomorrow. 3-bed, 1-bath, slab house. Probably a better fit for a rental buyer. House is in great shape. I just don't know if there's a ton of room for flipping it.
2 Hammond houses, one modest amount of work, another one maybe a decent project if it does require converting to a single family. So great neighborhood though. So considering that's 6800 block in California in Hessville. The other is single family 6400 block in Jackson. both of those, more details.
Any other deals? We are looking to hire, Justin and I, we're looking to hire a sales disposition person. This would be someone that sells our house. We go out, we buy the houses, we need you to network with our investors, build our buyers list with new investors, and sell our houses for you. So if you know anyone that might be a fit for us, you can have them contact us or talk to me after the meeting. So next month, come on up, Jim. The tax sale, the big tax sale in Lake County is in September. This is the one where all the nice houses go up for sale. You have your 12-month period that you have to sit on before you can go and get the deed to that. So next month, in preparation for that, Jim is going to be talking, and I didn't know Jim was coming tonight because Jim does not live in Indiana. Where are you from?
Knoxville, Tennessee.
He's from Tennessee, so he has that nice accent. But he's been doing tax lien investing here in Northwest Indiana for how long?
Going on 3 years now.
And how many tax liens have you purchased?
Just over 100.
Just over 100. So he has a lot more experience doing that than I do. So he will be here August 20th to talk about the tax lien process here in Lake County. So come out next month. We have the room until about 9:30, 10 o'clock, probably 10 o'clock is about when they'll kick us out. So feel free to network with people, pass some cards. I think all the food's gone. If you could help me out real quick, I need you to do two things tonight. One, go to the Facebook page, Invest NWI Investor Group, and ask to get approved for that group. And two, if you could take your row of chairs and stack them up 5 chairs high, that would be super helpful. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you next month.